When do you think they're going to retire the beam lighting? Do you think that's just going to carry on now in perpetuity and that's going to be a tradition? Or do you think at some point, because I've said this after you guys lost, or maybe it was right before Game 7, where I said, regardless of what happens in this series, Sacramento Kings have one of the brightest futures in the NBA, right? Young team, 2 All-NBA guys, coach of the year, the ancillary pieces that all fit together, all under contract. Like it just, the team makes a lot of sense. And I do think at some point we can't light the beam after regular season wins, because the expectation is going to change with your team going into next season. We saw this happen a little bit with the Memphis Grizzlies over the past few seasons, where all of a sudden you become a target, and all of a sudden the expectation now is like conference finals, championship.
That's a good question. I'm kind of curious the same as if we're going to carry it on in the next year and the year after. Like, everybody loves it. It seemed like it was something that kind of took over the NBA and was a really fun, I don't want to call it gimmick, but thing to get behind, or a rally cry.
It's a gimmick.
Yeah. We'll call it what it is. But it's a fun gimmick. It works, and it was original at least. But that's a good question. Like, I don't know if you guys know, it's like what other teams have had something like that across sports. Like, I think someone out here said the Angels, like the baseball team, had one, and I don't believe that they still do it. Like, they put the halo into the sky. But I'm not sure if things like that stick. So I think I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't really know how it's going to carry over.
The only one that I experienced, and that comes off the top of my head because I lived it, was the 76ers song after every win. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Sixers.
Teams have that.
Blah,
I just
blah,
can't.
blah.
I can't think of things. I mean, like baseball teams will do fireworks and stuff after they win, but I can't think of anything as like distinct or striking as that. It's part of what made it so good. It
Right.
did feel like it was a pretty original idea. I mean, I think Jason said right when you guys started doing it, it's like, you guys need to give a raise to whoever came up with that idea, because it definitely, from a marketing standpoint, it kind of accentuated the hot start.
I think it could be
I
think it could be a gimmick, and I think it could be a little corny, and I think it can also be awesome. Like, all of that can be true. I guess my point more has to do with expectations going into next season, beyond next season. Like, you guys have put yourself in a position, you battled the defending champions to a Game 7, had chances a little bit, and we'll get to Steph's Game 7 in a little bit, but had chances to sort of close them out. And I do think going into next season, the conversation around your team will be much different.
Yeah, and it should be. You get to that point, hopefully, as a team, like, the expectation becomes winning, and maybe each individual win isn't celebrated as much. Like the beam, it felt like every time we won, especially at home, it was a celebration. Like, hey, this is great. Let's light the beam. Whereas moving forward, all the best teams that have done it year after year, and I think first thing that comes to my head, like the Milwaukee Bucks, they win and it's expected. Like, they shake their hands, they walk off the court, and they get ready for next game. And so at some point, yeah, you flip the script. But I think for us, it was a way to enjoy each win, a way for us to interact with the fans. Like, you grab the microphone after the game, and you put a big emphasis on, hey, we're now a winning team. We're not the same Sacramento Kings of the past year. So we'll see. The expectation should for us change moving forward.
I don't have many regrets in my career, Kevin. Like, I certainly wish that I had re-signed with Philly after my first 2 years and finished my career there. But then I wouldn't have gotten a chance to live in my favorite city, New Orleans. And then I wouldn't have gotten a chance to be Drew Holiday's teammate or Josh. So I don't really view anything related to my career as like a regret. I do regret one thing, though. There was a couple items that I wanted to check off the box late in my career, because I took the game so seriously. One was to wear neon shoes. Once they outlawed the sort of team-wide same colorway per game, and it was like everybody started being a little individual. You got to the Kobe Grinches or whatever. So I checked that box off my first year in New Orleans. I wore a bunch of neon shoes that year, which was pretty awesome. And then the other box I wanted to check off was wearing a headband. And I remember a specific game in Philadelphia where Jimmy had everybody, remember the ninja headbands with like the tie in the back, which we can't wear anymore, but everybody was kind of rocking those. And I had agreed to do it. And at the last second, right before we went out for warmups, I took it off. And I never got a chance to wear a headband. What was it like this year just rocking that headband?
For some reason, it feels like guys guys like me and you in the league, it feels like the headband right away is something that you make fun of. It's something that
I'm not making fun of it. I'm acknowledging your bravery.
That's what I'm talking about right away. It's like, wow, this is kind of a joke. I guess the guys who have come before us didn't rock headbands enough. I was trying to change up my look. Like the thought behind it was I've never worn an arm sleeve, and the leg sleeves you could play around with. I wear like the 3/4 sleeves, but it was just something else that like nobody else, at least that was white, was doing, like putting on a headband and maybe wearing your hair a little bit longer. I'm not trying to like play with my hair in games. I don't want to put a pound of gel in it just to keep it back. And the headband just seemed to like check a lot of those boxes for me. And it was something different, it was something different going to Sacramento, just trying something new. But I don't know if it's going to stick around next year. I haven't gotten that far. I feel like it's now become kind of a thing. So I don't know if the fans will like see if I got to hold on to it.
You feel like your sleeve is your version of the headband?
Good question. I was always going to get a sleeve. That was just something I wanted to do. It's just something I wanted to do. I've told this story before, but I did it in 4 sessions. First one was like December, then one in January, then one in February, then one in early March to kind of like do the finishing touches or whatever. And we played the Cleveland Cavaliers in LA at Staples. It was a ABC primetime Saturday game, like a big game or whatever. And we come out for the jump ball, and I'm, dabbing everybody up on the Cavs or whatever, acknowledging them. And Kyrie looks at me and he's like, JJ, welcome to the Black community.
I had people comment.
Maybe all I had to do was wear a headband. I don't know.
No, I had benches. Like I was getting in front of opposing benches, and there was players like Jeff Green. I think he was one of them. He's like, come on, man, take that headband off. And like right away, I'm just like, Jeff, come on. Like, who else is doing this right now? You got to at least respect the grind out here. But it's like, it's the fine line. You can't do too much. So if you have the headband, you can't throw on the arm sleeve or like a wristband. You're looking like a my player. So I feel like it's one or the other. You do the arm sleeve, you can't do the headband. But if you do the headband, you can't do the arm sleeve. So it's like
the last point I want to make on this, and it's a valid point. You don't want to look like a my player, but you brought up something that's really interesting, because when I played, a lot of people would ask me what kind of hair product I used that made my hair stay in place during a game. Just a simple texture paste, that, by the way. But it was funny because that was always a concern I had, is like, not a concern because I wasn't thinking about it during the game, but before a game, I would go to the locker room and I would look in the locker, and sometimes you had pullovers, and especially early in my career, sometimes you had either a zip up or a button up. And I was always excited when we got the button ups or the zip ups for our warm up tops. And I didn't have to do this multiple times a game, because you never know. You got cowlicks and stuff, a hair gets out of place, and all of a sudden you're on national TV shooting clutch free throws and you look like an idiot, So
This is true. Were you a gel right before the game, or was it gel at home before you got to the game? So you had a little bit of time for it to set in.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not a psycho, so I would actually shower well before the game and not.
Okay, cool.
I would not work out, do my shooting, and then shower and then go play a game. No, I would wake up from my nap and shower. I'm a blow dry guy, so I blow dry and put my hair, the hair gel in.
He's got good hair.
This guy's a professional hair guy.